I'm sure a bunch of you have heard that we are expanding the Star Trek universe. But I actually don't feel entirely qualified to be the one to do it.
So you knew, but you did it anyway.
Sheer f***ing hubris.
I protest. I am not a merry man.
Imagine, if you will, watching something so bad, it literally sticks to you like a rancid turd jammed in your shoe. It's stuck, and no matter how much you try and shake it off, you're just gonna have to walk around reeking until you can get your hands on your roommate's toothbrush.
What now?
So if you do dare to expose yourself to the excrement fest called Section 31, be a little extra careful going to work tomorrow. Alright, let's get into it, because if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. This movie is 90 minutes of pure wretched torture corn.
The Native Americans call it maize.
Well-known writing hack, Hack McHackenface, is just as guilty at alienating audiences and draining IP of their value as Kathleen Kennedy. The primary difference here is, imagine Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant Leslie Headland had been the writing brains for all of Disney's Star Wars, not just The Acolyte. Yes, McHackenface has been in charge of all of Star Trek for the last decade, starting with STD.
That would be the recently decanonized Star Trek Discovery for you normies out there.
And his output has done nothing but get progressively worse until Section 31, where we've officially reached Acolyte levels.
So which was worse?
Now that's a bitter fight I'm going to let the viewers slug out in the comments. Let's talk about the plot, or lack thereof, because it's a masterpiece of incoherent, logic-defying nonsense. First, we start off in the overused crutch, the Mirror Universe, where Philippa Georgiou, a character wasted on the talents of the awesome Michelle Yeoh, is busy offing her entire family in a bid to become emperor. So right off the get-go, we're in a bad way. Did a video highlighting Hollywood's recent obsession with redefining evil, making it gray. Wicked Witch and Maleficent weren't evil, they were just misunderstood. Here we have a protagonist who's murdered billions, enjoys eating eyeballs, and ruled the Terran Empire with a tyrannical iron fist. And we're supposed to root for this person?
Nothing quite like doing the exact opposite of what Roddenberry had in mind.
Speaking of which, they even hijacked Roddenberry's wife's voice, Majel Barrett, as the voice of the computer to try and lend some credibility to this farce. Section 31 was introduced way back in the Deep Space Nine era as an ultra-high-level Black Ops outfit that did the Federation's off-the-books dirty work.
We keep a low profile. Works out better that way for all concerned.
And what does Section 31 do, apart from kidnapping Starfleet officers?
We search out and identify potential dangers to the Federation.
And once identified,
we deal with them.
Think of them as not just spies, but ninjas. Their purpose was to get the job done without anyone knowing that they even existed. Totally invisible.
You function as judge, jury, and executioner, and I think that's too much power for anyone.
And in true Star Trek fashion, they dealt with the morality of such an organization in the show.
How many lives do you suppose you've saved? Hundreds? Thousands? Do you suppose those people give a damn that you lied to get into Starfleet Medical?
I doubt it.
We deal with threats to the Federation that jeopardize its very survival. If you knew how many lives we've saved, I think you'd agree that the ends do justify the means.
Fast forward to the present, Georgiou gets recruited by Section 31, this top-secret organization that's so elite they can't even keep a bar brawl from getting totally blown wide open. Seriously, she walks into this super secret lair and instantly spots every single one of their best agents, single-note cartoon characters that are a part of every gang of misfits. The cyber guy, the femme fatale, the obligatory Vulcan, except this one is an Irish robot, and the guy who thinks he's Andrew Tate.
And the captain of the Enterprise C, because reasons.
How does one even get into Section 31? It's pretty clear that McDonald's has higher recruiting standards. Anyway, they need her to capture an arms dealer who's transporting a bioweapon. You know, because all McHackenface can think of these days is a dangerous bioweapon. It's like they sat down in the writer's room and went, okay, what's the dumbest, most overused plot device we can throw in here? And bam, bioweapon. Classic. Great. And how do they apprehend this nefarious arms dealer? They just punch him in the face. There's no big plan, there's no gadgets, no tech, no creative Mission Impossible style clever takedown. Just a good old-fashioned sock to the jaw.
Is this Rebel Moon? or Star Trek.
It's funny you bring that up because this felt more like watching Rebel Moon than Star Trek. I kept waiting for Space Week to become a major plot point. But don't worry, it gets better. Giorgio has this magic device that lets her phase through walls because sure, why not? She literally can walk through everything, which raises about 10,000 questions that no one in the movie seems to care about answering, like, how does she breathe? How does she not fall through the floor into space? Oh yeah, and if you're phased out of everything, shouldn't you just disappear? Don't worry about it though, the movie sure doesn't. Anyway, it turns out that this bioweapon is from Giorgio's mirror universe, and if it detonates, it's gonna wipe out half the galaxy.
I once farted for so long, I thought my butthole would need to stop and catch its breath. That's a more interesting plotline.
So now it's up to Giorgio and her team of utter incompetence to track down the masked villain and save the galaxy. Will they succeed? Will Giorgio redeem herself? Do I care? Not really, because by this point I was just hoping for the movie to end so I could forget I'd ever seen it. It's like they took all the worst parts of any run-of-the-mill TV movie, sprinkled in a couple Star Trek references, and then decided to make everything worse by adding a giant explosion of stupidity at the end. While we've been assaulted by the rancid Hollywood output for years now, we've actually entered a new phase with this piece of garbage. Instead of the usual rah-rah, even some of the actors involved with the project warned us before it even came out. Michelle Yeoh was concerned about the effect this thing would have on her career. Even some of the shill critics are starting to cry uncle and call things out for what they are. I mean, check out these numbers.
That's bloody horrifying.
Is it possible for a movie to be evil? This one is, and if Paramount has any sense of shame or decency, it will now shutter the entire company and auction off its assets to the lowest bidder. A disastrously misguided and ineffective endeavor that strikes all the wrong notes right from the get-go. This is, without doubt, the weakest installment in almost 60 years of Star Trek history. Even super shilly IGN couldn't be bothered. This isn't Star Trek. Section 31 becomes so boring and ugly that it no longer can be seen as bad Star Trek. Heck, it can't even be called bad sci-fi or bad genre work. It seems to have no interest or understanding in doing any of them well. Yes, Section 31 was a series that was compressed into a movie, so that certainly didn't do it any favors.
Like Moana 2.
And Paramount is in the process of getting bought out by Skydance, who are apparently very aware of the abuses going on in the Trekverse, and rumor has it that they've ordered for it to stop, which is exactly why this turd fest was distilled into a blink and you'll miss it movie instead of a series, just for, contractual reasons.
But Kurtzman has another turd locked and loaded in the chamber.
Yes, Starfleet Academy. No word on whether that's going to be shit-canned or not. I recently did a video on what needs to happen to save Star Wars. The fix for Star Trek is a hell of a lot simpler. Just create a new show with a new crew on a new Enterprise, just like The Next Generation. Instead of boldly trying to fill in gaps and retreading previously established lore like STD or Strange New Worlds, Star Trek needs to get back to its roots of actually going where no one has gone before. Unless you happen to have a group of cool friends who you sit around and watch things like this for the sole entertainment value of pointing and laughing MST style, don't watch this movie. Don't waste your time. It's not worth it. Stay fresh, cheese bags.